How's it going, guys? Welcome to Blade Show 2019, and we are at the Medford booth, and I'm sitting here with Greg Medford. How's it going?
What's going on, man?
Always a pleasure. And he's got some really exciting stuff on the table, so let's just dive in.
We're going to just jump right in for the money shot?
Right for the money shot.
All right, you guys, I know everyone's been asking about it. I did a few teaser videos over the last month or so, and we got these together and we're able to get them to show. This is our new Praetorian Swift. This is, loosely based on my original Praetorian design. And it's got a lot of the original style. If you didn't see them next to each other, you might think it's a Praetorian if you don't get the size and scale and proportion of a standard Praetorian. But what we wanted to do is, what I wanted to do is bring the styling of a Praetorian over to a much more pocket-friendly kind of, I don't want to say mass market, but like kind of non-knife lunatic aficionado crowd. Regular guys that like cool knives. So this is our Praetorian Swift. It's a 6061 T6 aluminum chassis. It's got Type 3 Class 2 hard anno on it. We did that so we could do an integral back strap and the machining wouldn't kill us. So it's really a two-piece chassis. It says all titanium hardware except for the basic assembly screws. That's rack stainless hardware. Titanium clip, the little M logo on it. It's got a 150 thou thick blade, 3/16 aluminum slab handle. It's got the fluting and style carryover from the Praetorian model. 4/16 stainless steel button here. So it's a button lock with a safety in the full safe position. You push the button, nothing happens. If you take the safety off, push the button, it's an auto.
And that right there, that's the money shot,
That's
right?
the money shot. And then
it's exciting to see a Medford auto,
Once it's deployed, you can put it in the lock position, it engages the button, and you don't get a disengagement of the knife. So no big mystery there. Titanium parts, all original stuff done by us in our shop. No part of this has been outsourced to anywhere. There's some Swiss parts that come from our Swiss sources around the country and so forth. But it's got the thing that I'm known for is a lot of blade and handle.
Yeah.
A large blade to handle proportion. And it's got, I think we've pulled that off nicely. It's the exact same length as a Praetorian Genesis, for those of you who are familiar with our products. So it's exactly the same length as a Genesis, but the vertical dimensions have been brought down by over a third.
Yeah.
So S35 VN blade, it's badged with our crossover badging on it, and a little S tells you that it's S35 VN. Coil spring, 3-coil setup, and we put, there's a lot of discussion and nuance about spring action, intensity of action, and all of that. And I know some guys there's like a fetish. There's a fetish about hard knives open. And there's fetishes about all kinds of things about knives in the marketplace. And I'm not going to say they're wrong, but they're a fetish.
Yeah.
So sticking to my kind of whole zeitgeist about practicality, usability, and durability, I've made a knife with a medium spring in it that has plenty of action, but the guys have to remember, it probably has a third more mass than your typical
in your typical auto.
Yeah,
for sure.
And when you increase the mass by a third, the acceleration decreases by a third.
Yeah.
So I'm not making excuses for it. My design whole ethos is around heavier usability, toughness. I'm not about zippy, skippy, flippy. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not my ethos.
Yeah, that's not what Medford does.
Right.
Exactly.
So could I make it faster? Yes. But when you make that heavier blade faster and I put the heavier spring in that chassis, that knife jumps out of one out of three hands. It just comes right out.
Right, because you've got so much mass moving.
So much mass that when it comes to a stop, it kind of jerks out of the hand. So I'm in this place where I'm going to annoy your purists who want this crazy hard flipping knife, because that's where the kind of, I think there's overemphasis on that in automatics. As I have now felt them, I go, that's too much. Why are they doing that? That doesn't make sense. And then I have seen now people go to close them and they slip off their hand as they're closing them and they cut themselves. I've seen this a bunch of times.
I actually legitimately saw that at the show. Somebody had an auto, they went to close it, same exact thing. Yeah, and it was one of the snappier brands.
Slips off the back, and then it comes around and cuts you a little bit. So people can always be cut by anything, but it doesn't need to be overloaded.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between optimum and maximum.
Yeah.
And I kind of went for optimum.
Well, and the thing is too is when you handle an inexpensive or cheap or crappy auto, right? The word lazy, right? Like a lot of it's lazy. It's not a lazy blade at all, right?
No.
It feels great. It comes out. You got great engagement. So yeah, I think this is great.
I think I did some like social media posts of it initially, and I think the frame rate made the illusion of it kind of being a little clunky.
Sometimes that happens, especially like on Instagram and stuff.
Yeah, it was Instagram actually,
and
something about the frame rate on Instagram makes some. But I just don't think it's lazy. I tried a harder one. I'm like, I can get it to lock out harder, but here's what happened. In a knife shop of knife makers, it jumped out of half the dude's hands.
Right.
And I was like, all right, well, we can't have that.
Yeah,
we can't have it at shows. We don't want it happening with people.
Yeah.
It's like, so we decided, and I decided, I'm like, look, I'm going to take some guff on that, and I'll do what I do, which is I will push against the fad a little bit and say, look, it's about practicality, usability, and not getting cut, and it lasting longer.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, people think when you make tough stuff that it inherently just lasts longer, and that's not true. Like a Sherman tank or an M1 Abrams. Say, oh, that thing's a tank, it should last forever. Hey, just so you know, tanks don't last forever. Tanks take a lot of maintenance.
A lot of mechanic work to keep those things running.
Yeah, and here's how you break a tank. Give it gas, full gas every time you go anywhere, and hit the brake hard as you can every time.
Yeah.
Which is what starting and stopping and locking a knife is. So guys go, well, you make tanks, like my USMC fighter flipper. That knife's a tank. I go, well, if you just do that every time, whack, big hard locks, you're gonna wear it out.
Yeah.
It's a big tank.
Yeah.
So you kind of treat them carefully, and they will last you for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I have this discussion. Guys that own really nice things, they know about taking care of their nice things.
Of course. Yeah.
They go, just because it's nice and expensive doesn't mean it's indestructible.
Yeah.
It's just.
It warrants the desire to take care of it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
If you have something that's cheap,
yes.
It's like, it'll wear out, whatever, I'll buy another one. I'll go to Walmart and buy another one, right?
Yeah.
But you buy something with quality, right? And you want to take care of that so that it does last, right?
Yeah, because
exactly.
one of the pleasures of carrying around a $700 pocket knife or a $525 pocket knife, one of the pleasures of carrying the knife around is that every time you use it, you go, this thing is so nice.
Yeah.
And then you want that experience to last into the future as far as possible, a really good car.
Yeah, and that's a great thing though about the Medford brand. This is something I've always loved, at least, is you want to take care of it, but using it, you don't have to baby it, right? Because there are knives that you want to be nice, and I don't want to cut paper with it. I don't want to do it. Bedford's used to use, it's meant to use it, right?
Well, I think we have a really high use ratio, and I think the reason that is because I don't go crazy on like delicate finishes.
Right.
Like, some guys are obsessed with a hand rubbed finish, or they're obsessed with a satin finish, and they hold it up in the light, and they've got their loop out looking at it. And the thing is, like, if I did that to my knives, guys wouldn't use it.
Exactly.
But I do a stonewash knife, I do a PVD finish. Yeah. So there's a lot of, I kind of hold back. Guys go, well, don't you know how to polish? I go, yeah, I know how to polish.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as I polish, it doesn't get carried. And I'm into the whole, use.
Yeah, use what you got. Yeah. So, well, and on the note of the auto, guys, if you guys did see any of those earlier posts and you were worried about how this thing hits, I've got it in hand right now. You guys know my preferences on auto. I think it feels great. Legitimately, awesome. I think it feels great. Like, me and Greg, we've talked a handful of times. I can be honest with Greg. If I didn't like it, I'd tell him. So it hits great. And that's just one guy's opinion, so try it out for yourself. But I'm really excited about this.
Cool.
And then you mentioned USMC flipper. So there's something else that's new, right?
So this is the folder version. You mind if I grab my fixed blade?
Yeah, go grab it.
So this is our fixed USMC fighter. I know everybody who's kind of been around or watches your videos probably seen a video about this knife.
Yeah, we had this on
that's the SHOT Show, maybe.
The SHOT Show, I think it was SHOT Show, yeah.
So, this is my take on the USMC knife. It's been around for a long time. What I wanted to do was make a version of this that you could carry in your pocket. And the response has been a little, I don't want to say overwhelming, but the response has been a little rabid. Like the guys are like, holy man, that's what I want.
This is an awesome knife.
So if you look at this knife, what I've done is I've taken this big, field knife that goes on your kit, and I've made a version of it that can really go in your pocket. It's pretty funny. So I'll take this knife, let me throw it in my pocket so you guys get a chance to see it.
Oh yeah.
Super carryable. It's got a little bit of something hanging out here, right?
Yeah.
But a really usable knife. It's a flipper, of course, and it's got the same size handle as the fixed blade.
So
it's got a
really
heavy,
great purchase.
Yeah, heavy pommel on it. You could absolutely use this knife like a hammer. This is the most expensive knife part I've ever put on a knife.
Okay.
This pommel right here.
Yeah.
It's a real integral pommel bolted into the back strap. It's side tapped and pinned for the indexing of the clip. Solid titanium 6.4, and then it's slot cut and ramped up for the blade to pocket into. So when you close this up, the blade nests into that pocket really nicely.
Yeah, I remember we actually talked about this one time, and you were telling me about the process behind that. The other thing I like is this pocket clip here, that roller ball on the pocket clip. That's smooth. You know, I like that, especially with kind of a bigger, heavier knife. Keeps it smooth in and out of the pocket.
You know what's kind of fun about this is like, what clip should go on a knife that's a spin-off of a World War II type knife, right? So I was kind of free to do whatever I wanted, and so I rolled in with this, and I thought it was kind of fun. I like the look of it. I like throwing something that's got a little bit of technological kind of sophistication to it, as opposed to just a bent flat thing on there. And I think it takes something from the past and really pulls it ahead of the moment, you know, and kind of into the future with some real fresh, kind of snappy design.
Yeah.
So the knife itself, it's the exact same blade as the fixed blade. So if you saw it like this, you could see it's almost the identical blade. And if you see it like this, you go, oh, it's the same knife. I just cut a section out in the middle this big.
Yeah.
And then what I did, instead of doing a straight fuller, I did a flat bottom fuller so that you get that more vertical edge for purchase if you want to thumb it open. So you can thumb this knife open really well, or you can flipper it. Now, as most of you know, I do phosphor bronze instead of bearings for toughness. So when these come right out of the gate, you only maybe get that much out of it.
Yeah.
They'll need a little teensy bit of wrist, and then as it breaks in, it glasses right up and feels lovely. So, and you know, I could take them, I could take some 1200 grit and lap the washers and do all of that, but the truth is it just breaks in really nicely over some use. And I think my customers actually enjoy seeing it kind of mature into its, I like the process of people seeing their knife settle in and they go, God, it did exactly what you said it was going to do. And I go, yeah, it's just mechanics.
Yeah.
So that's the USMC Fighter Flipper. It's really a great companion piece to this. All titanium, of course. Just a lovely knife. What else?
Well, we got two more right here, right? We got the little fixed blade and...
You want to jump in? Let's jump into the
next
ones.
Let's do this thing.
So the next thing, one of our newest knives is a Chunky Monkey. Now this has got kind of a little bit of a similar clip because I was having fun doing this and I like the way it worked out.
Yeah.
I also, when I was doing this knife, I was really going for like an interesting small piece. So if you look at this knife as you move around it, like every angle on it, there's a ton of stuff going on.
Yeah, everything's got a detail.
Yeah. So I just thought it was funny. And then I took the logo because it's called Monkey. It was our working title. And I took the logo and I flipped the logo at an angle. So you'll see on the camera, there's the logo vertical. There's the knife where it would typically, you know, guys are very like symmetrical, balanced.
Yeah.
And I'm more like artsy, asymmetrical, off-kilted. I mean, look at my logo here.
Yeah.
The logo tilt that I did behind us, I just did on the knife.
Did on the knife.
It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And so I may start doing it. You know what? Hey, Jeff, let's start. I think I'm going to start turning the logo at an angle on all the knives. I think we should do it just like the logo here, crooked on all of them. All right, cool.
That's how decisions are made here, guys. Just make that decision.
No committees, just make sure it happens.
So it's a little tiny blade, you guys. You're gonna find I did this. I didn't do bearings on it. I maybe could have. I maybe sometime in the future will. It'll take a little bit of risk to snap this guy out, especially during the break-in.
Yeah.
But what's cool about it, it's just a monstrous little, like, what style blade would you call that?
I mean, Warncliffe or modified Warncliffe.
Like Warncliffe,
sheep's foot. Yeah.
So see what you think. Tell me how you like the feel of it.
I like the feel of it a lot. So you guys know I've got about a medium-sized hand, so it's got a nice three-finger purchase. And then that stop there is really nice, so you know where you are on the blade. I like that with a shorter knife. I like those indicators. And then same with the jimping across the top. So personally, with a smaller knife, I like those type of indicators to know exactly where I'm at. So Feels good. Feels good in hand. And you know, you're known for kind of that wider design, that thicker design, but this doesn't feel too much in the hand, right?
I think it still feels like a knife.
It feels like a knife.
Wee little guy.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It still feels like a knife, but not like. I don't feel like I have to like try to hold it, right? It just fits right in my hand.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a great little piece.
We were looking at it. You know, what's funny is I brought a dozen of them, and they all sold within our first hour.
Yeah. No, you guys.
And I was like,
yeah, guys, we had to fight to even have these knives on the table. People have been just. What was the word you used earlier?
I don't know.
Hungry. We'll just say hungry. They've just been hungry for these knives at the show.
These sold out. Well, nobody had ever even seen this knife before, and they're like, "What is that?" And they go, "I'll take that one. I'll take that." And so I go, "Oh my god!" And then this one, they were a little rabid about it. And then this one here,
rabid. That was the word.
And then this one here, those all sold out at the same time. That's been announced for a while. You know, we're moving to this a slightly different model of launching knives than we have in the past. In the past, I would float some models at a show, and then people would say what they think about it, and I would kind of get them into production. A year later, they'd drop.
Yeah.
And I've gone away from that. I'm like, this is what I want to make. I'm going to make it. When I'm done and I've got a prototype working, I'll show everybody, and I'll tell them we're going to drop it. It's coming soon. Stand by. Then my Centurions, they get a release on it first.
Right.
That way they get their hands on them and they do some social media buzz around it.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to drop them here at this show and at SHOT Show. So SHOT
Great.
and Blade will be our annual launches.
Great.
And then we're going to do one more sneaky launch when we have our big Centurion Invitational party at our factory.
Okay.
Guys will come out and we'll say, all right, you guys are the first ones to get this new knife. Here it is.
Well, and I know you guys on YouTube can appreciate that, because I know sometimes we show stuff at Blade or SHOT and you can't have it for a while. So it's nice. I know people like that.
Yeah.
All right, and then we've got this little fixed plate here.
Well, you know, I did this for a friend that I did this for a couple of friends where they had perceived that I had slighted them a little bit. It was totally unintentional because it's an unscripted show. You know, I'm online all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you say something that either you didn't intend to say or you forgot you said it, and then it gets a little turned around, and they take it as gospel. That's the thing they picked up on. And then if two guys talk about that thing, all of a sudden it's like you shorted them. So I didn't want to slight anybody, so I wanted to design a new knife. So I took a Praetorian, and since these guys really like Praetorians, and I modified it into a cool little handleless neck knife, and then I threw our logo into it. So this is actually the M logo. It's a section of this right here.
Yeah, here we'll pull this guy.
If we were to
guy up, and then
if we were to take this knife, this M, that's this part of the M in the logo.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This big logo on the mat.
Yep. Oh, on the mat there. Yeah, that's even better.
Yeah. So wanted to do this little like kind of Praetorian handleless fixed blade neck knife. So, you know, that's the guy right there.
That's great.
Hanging around the neck.
Now you made it for some buddies, but it is available. People
Yeah.
can buy it.
So what I did is I did a run of 4. I did one for my private lounge that has the originals all hanging up, and then I did 3 more, one for each of the guys, and probably one for my son. And then we'll do some version of this in all likelihood because people seem to really like it.
That's great.
So it's a neck knife that's got, you know, my styling, and it's a chunky little thing with some weight taken out of it, and I think it's a pretty cool little knife.
For sure. Well, thanks so much for showing us what you have going. This is really exciting stuff. If you guys want, you mentioned online. Greg has a YouTube channel here on YouTube. He gets on and talks some stuff every once in a while, so you guys should check that out. It's always a good time tuning in and see what they have going over at Medford Knives. And thanks for your time.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to plug me at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, go to medfordknife.com, MKTUSA, and then check out our medforduniversity.com where you can become a Centurion and find out about all this stuff before anybody else on the planet. It's a good time.
That's great. That's super great.
All right, thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks guys for tuning in, and make sure to check out our 2019 Blade Show playlist.
I'm out!